how long do they have to wait before they can start taking some money out to survive with their lifestyle?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends because if we're talking about business, a franchise is a business like anything else. So with the franchise, the variables will be: are you running it full time, which is going to be much different than the person keeping their job and running that business semi-absentee. So if we look at a home-based service business, you're up and running anywhere to 1 to 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
That franchisor, so and that depends on when the next trainings are and your availability. So it could be a little bit longer, it could be a little bit less, and then if you're ordering trucks and equipment and things like that. So the factors are going to be running it full time or part time. What's included. So if it's a water restoration business, it's going to be at least 90 days. You need the truck and equipment. If it's a business coaching business, it's going to probably be half that amount of time since you don't have the equipment to get up and running. Profitability, it's all over the map. It depends on how you're financing this venture. If it is a 1099 model, meaning maybe it's a painting franchise where you're running it full time and there's no staff needed and you're 1099ing your subs, I mean, it could be a lot sooner than later. It could be potentially the first 6 to 12 months. Again, I'm not making an earnings claim, but it could be sooner than later because you'll have a lower investment and you're not paying staff to waiting until business is coming in, right? The subcontractor is getting awarded the work, they're getting a percentage of the work, and they're getting paid after the work is done and the job's been paid for. So that controls and helps with your cash flow. So potentially could be the first year. I recommend that first year being a builder year if possible. And if you can afford it, and we talk about numbers and we talk about having this buffer, right? If you're leaving your job, making sure someone's paying that mortgage or rent or the student loans, but you need that buffer. So that 1 year, that first year, trying to reinvest as much as possible. That's what I did. I reinvested everything into staff, into marketing, into equipment, into expanding my business. We bought additional territories and things like that. So that first year, you're learning the business. I hired a person, didn't work out, had to replace them. So it's that learning curve, that learning process. But it could potentially be that first year, depending. And you also, I've seen the opposite where people paid themselves right away, and that's okay as well. It's your business; you could do whatever you want. But the result of that was that they had to cut their marketing spend, and that's not a good idea. That first year, you want to make sure you're spending the amount that's recommended by the franchisor, and not cutting that in half in order to pay yourself a salary. So don't overextend yourself. If get that loan, look at the funding options, maybe use a retirement rollover for the business, but make sure you have that buffer so that if business takes a little bit longer to get up and running, you're not like, well, who's paying my rent? Who's paying the royalty the next month? You have a plan in place.
Yeah, you bring me to a very important question I was thinking about as we're talking about the topic is the financing piece. Do you get involved in that? Does your company help facilitate conversations, direct the person who is interested in buying a franchise into the best options for them? And can you walk us through that financing piece?
Absolutely. So yes, we do a high level review on financing. We always recommend to a funding partner such as Benetrends or Fran Fund, where they'll do a full review. There's no cost for the review. And they'll give you both recommendations in their wheelhouse, outside their wheelhouse, which is great. And that's why we recommend it to them. And then there's a cost if you move forward.